right, good afternoon, everyone. Hello. How's everyone doing? Good. All right, we're here to talk about GiN golfer products. Thanks for taking the time to come visit our breakout session. We'll talk about a series of topics relating to GiN golfer products, but before we begin, just wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm here with Adam Dove, and I'll pass it on to him to say a few words about his background and his role here.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Adam Dove. If you're wondering, the UX in my title stands for user experience, so that's a new role with the GiN team. So my job is all about making sure that our products are easy to use, intuitive, that golfers are having a good experience. So day to day, that means I'm designing wireframes, mock-ups, prototypes for new features and enhancements, talking to golfers, testing them out to get feedback and kind of iterate and optimize. This is my first job in the golf industry, first IAGA experience, so happy to be here. Previously, I worked in digital product design with companies such as Vanguard, Comcast, and federal government organizations, which all sound very boring now that I'm here working in golf. So otherwise, glad to be here. Thanks for coming, and we're looking forward to sharing some product updates with you.
Thanks, Adam. And I'm Jonathan Pack. I'm the director of golfer products. So as the product management lead, I manage kind of the roadmap and the business of the GiN mobile app and GiN.com. Work closely with Adam. And we also have members of our development team, Golf Genius, Adrian, Aline, and Andre are visiting from Romania. If you're not familiar, we partner with Golf Genius. We, on the USGA side, manage the product management and design side, and then our development partners there. These are 3 out of 17 developers that work on the overall GiN platform. So we're happy to have them, and we wouldn't do this without them, so thank you guys for coming. For today, the run-up show, we'll talk a little bit about the current state of golfer products, go through some recent stats and recent launches, preview some upcoming releases, and then really what we wanted to get to is a 2025 and future strategy of how we're thinking about golfer products moving forward, and then we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A and discussion. So as we get into GiN today, just wanted a quick reminder that GiN is not just the mobile app or GiN.com, it's really the suite of products. Some of you may have been into the admin portal and WHS technology session. So we kind of work together as a group. But when we talk about golfer products, we're talking about the mobile app on iOS and Android. We're talking about GiN.com. Still a small percentage of people are using kiosks. That's part of golfer products as well. As you see here, there's the admin portal. And then we do also have an Apple Watch experience where we have an enhanced GPS product that users can upgrade and subscribe to. That includes putt maps. And GPS for distances as you play on course. You may have also seen this slide when Fran presented this in the GC meeting, or Joe and Lisa on our team, but we partner with the WHS and the handicapping team within the USGA. Really, as you see here, we leverage APIs that plug into the handicapping system and centralized computation to provide a really front-end experience for golfers. There are also other partner apps out there. There's Golf Shot in the room as well. They partner to leverage the same APIs and technology, but we're really, from the USGA standpoint, our own front-end experience. So if we get into key numbers, there are currently 3.3 million golfers with a handicap index, and out of those, 2.6 million unique golfers posted at least one score in 2024. So it's a very high utilization rate between golfers with a handicap index and people that are actually posting scores. And so far this year, we've seen over 76 million score postings. So we process a lot of data. There's a lot of scores being posted on a day-to-day basis. And we look at different score posting methods. This has shifted over the years, but if you see here, 88% of total all scores are posted through the mobile app, so either iOS or Android, 10% on GiN.com, and 2% in kiosk, which again is kind of slowly ticking down. When we look at score types or posting types, 2/3 of the scores are posted as a total score, 27% are posted hole by hole, and 7% are posted hole by hole with stats. So stats include fairways, greens in regulation, and putts. And as you see, the total score number has slowly been shifting more towards hole by hole, which we like because we're seeing more data, and golfers are posting more of their hole by hole data, which helps us kind of provide stats back to them. So we have to continue to see that shift. And as we think about golfer feedback, we see both positive and negative, but from a positive standpoint, we get a lot of reviews saying, it's a reliable app, it's the best application for golf there is, a very easy way to keep up your handicap, and also your friends' handicaps. Some people call it a must-have app. And some people are reflecting on how it's better than standing in line for a kiosk. You can use your phone and easily post scores. From a opportunity standpoint, we still see a lot of negative reviews, and when we have bugs and issues, we see that come through the App Store. So what we've been doing this year is actually taking those into account and replying to them and directly taking that feedback, working with our development team to fix some of those issues. So some of the examples are, someone wanted to see an entire scorecard view, and we launched a feature called Share Around Summary. And as we responded to those ratings and reviews, some people are going back and saying, oh, I found this share scorecard option looks great, and they update their ratings. So we're trying to be more personable and actually provide feedback and communication back to our users. Some people have complained about the crown on the Apple Watch to change holes. As you swing a golf club, sometimes it'll automatically shift holes. So we made a simple adjustment to remove that functionality altogether, and again, updated the rating from 3 stars to 5 stars. So we're seeing kind of direct impact there. And then lastly, we've also had some Apple Watch connectivity issues with people saying that the watch isn't really updating to GPS in real time. And we've worked again with the development team to strengthen the GPS connection. And once again, we've replied, and then the user said that it works much better now and hope it sticks. So we're looking to continue to do this and receive feedback and then respond directly so that they know that the issues are resolved. As we get to recent launches, first things first, GiN trials. That was a huge launch for us. This was really a feature focused on growth. Traditionally, if you downloaded the GiN app, you would just be hit with a login screen. Now through GiN trials, if you're not sure if you wanted a handicap index, we provide an experience, or you can post scores. When you post 3 scores, you get an estimated handicap range, so you can kind of get a sense of your playing ability, but not the exact number. And then you get 30 days to use the app where you can post scores and keep track of your stats. So far, I think we're very pleased with the results. We've seen over 100,000 trial signups overall. 33,000 of those trial users have converted to an AGA membership, primarily through the GC. So that equates to a 32% conversion rate, which is generally very high from any kind of upgrade standpoint, so we're happy about that. And kind of a stat within that is about half of these people that have converted convert on the day that they sign up for a trial. So I think it shows that there's a lot of demand for handicap index, and I think what we've done with both the GC and signing up through the GiN app is that it's an easier pathway where you can download the app and start a trial and immediately get a handicap index, or you can use the trial and kind of a previewed experience before you upgrade. So we're happy to see these results. We're continuing to think about how to optimize the trial experience and continue to grow and expand kind of how we can get golfers into the mix. Next, pass it over to Adam to talk about Share Around Summary.
All right, so Share Around Summary is a feature that we launched in August of this year. So we created this visual snapshot that kind of summarizes the user's round, whether you post total score, hole by hole, or hole by hole stats. So really kind of playing into the natural social element of golf. You have a great round and you want to share it with your buddies. You have a couple birdies and want to brag about it, or some sort of really interesting scorecard that you want to share. Now you can do that directly from the GiN app. So really this is about golfer engagement, but I think also awareness as sort of a secondary piece. We've seen golfers and even some influencers posted on forums like Reddit and Instagram with pretty big followings, and there's a call to action at the bottom to get a handicap index and use the GiN app. So far, fairly, I think, modest adoption as we would have expected. Not every single round is going to be shareable, but we have seen 70,000 shares just in the last couple of months with pretty limited marketing or promotion of the feature. Golfer Delete Score is another feature that we launched also in August, I believe. So really this one is around quality of service and allowing golfers to self-service when they make a mistake, where previously they had to contact their AGA to edit a score. So now, the day that a score is posted up until the revision is run, the golfer can go in and delete the score, really with the intent to update it with a newly posted round. So there's a modal here when you do that to just kind of stop the user and say, hey, please only do this if you need to correct a score, you made an error. And then it shows up in your score history up until the next day as deleted. So yeah, the hope with this one is that, kind of alleviating some of the manual support needed by AGAs and the USGA, but I would be curious if people have feedback or have seen any impacts from this so far. So next we're going to talk a little bit about some upcoming launches that we have planned, but I guess just quick check, does anybody have any questions or comments for us before we move on here?
On the deleted scores, a golfer goes and deletes a score, will that remain an audit log?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there currently, or will there be a report that admins could run to see, if golfers have run or deleted X amount of scores or whatever, anything like that?
Yeah, we're working on that. We don't have that yet. I think we've gotten that request. I'm not sure if it was from you, but
No.
yeah, we've heard that. I think specific clubs and you just want to see, just monitor what the delete volume looks like. So we're working on that reporting system, so you can see that visibility.
Excellent.
And one other thing to call out with delete scores, it's only accessible when a golfer is posted through GiN. So GPA is vast, but don't have the same functionality built in.
Okay, great.
And also note there's a few seats in the front couple rows if anybody in the back wants to grab a seat, don't chat. All right, so a few upcoming launches to talk about. GiN Rewind is the first. So this is our end of year summary for golfers, kind of recapping your year in golf. The last couple of years we've done sort of a static one-page summary with I think 6 or 7 data points. It's seen some really good success with people sharing it, talking about it, starting conversation. This year we're just sort of evolving that feature a little bit and looking at benchmarks in consumer apps when you think of things like Spotify Wrapped as an end of year experience, or Strava's year in review is another good one. So really a multiple slide storytelling type experience, more conversational, walking through your year, more focused on like one data point or one topic per slide. I think we have maybe 10 or 12 slides in total, but you'll see here that AGA branding is on one of the intro slides as a, hey, thanks for teeing it up this year. And then also on the recap, which is the last slide on the right there. Each slide will be shareable on its own, as well as the recap at the end. So we've done some user testing on this recently and gotten some positive feedback from golfers to see just kind of more data points, like not just your 1 best round, but what were your 3 best rounds? How's your handicap index trending? What was the hardest and easiest course you played? Things like that. So yeah, just a couple of screenshots here, but happy to walk anyone through a more complete demo if you want to grab us after the session. And then challenges is another feature that we're working on with a goal to launch next year. And Jonathan will talk a little bit more about a pilot program, but really the first version of challenges is a virtual leaderboard where golfers can compete with the handicap index in clubs, courses that have set up a challenge. I think ultimately this can evolve into more kind of social and motivational features, but for V1, AGAs can set up a challenge at an 18-hole facility. And the way that works is you just set a start and end date, and once golfers opt in, really every score they post during that time frame gets counted towards a net leaderboard that you see here on the right. Your top 3 scores count to give you a sort of a ranking in that net leaderboard. The middle screen here is really just walking the golfer through how it works, since this is a new way to compete. But kind of the goal of this, or the problem that we're solving, is thinking about primarily public golfers who want to compete but don't have an easy way to do that. So maybe I'm not a member of a club, I don't really know how to get involved in a league, or maybe I just don't have time to sync up schedule with my friends that I want to compete with. So really just kind of gamifying and giving some competition to the scores that the user is already posting at the facility.
Cool, and I think as Adam talked about, this is really trying to target public golfers, and as we're trying to grow golfers with the handicap index, give them new ways to play. And I think for us, it's exciting because it's a kind of a first kind of virtual competition feature. This actually comes from a pilot run by the USGA. So I think it's an awesome kind of partnership where this originated from an AGA, was piloted and validated, and now we're taking that to build a native feature within the GiN app and GiN.com. And then the way it's set up is AGAs would be able to set up a challenge and admin portal. So we're kind of integrating multiple pieces of both our partnership between AGAs and the USGA, but also using admin portal to unlock new experiences on GiN. And at the same time, it's a complex feature. I'm sure our development team, they're doing a great job, but it is a new feature for us in terms of having a live leaderboard, having different golfers post scores that count towards a net score competition. And there's a lot of intricacies involved in this. So before we kind of go to a nationwide launch and try to go everywhere and make it big, we're taking a pilot approach. So we want to walk before we run. To ensure that first the golfers are engaging, they understand the experience, that it's easy to set up from an administrative standpoint, and we're kind of monitoring the engagement from start to finish. So right now, what we've done is we partnered with 7 AGAs who have agreed to help us test this out, and we're asking them to identify 2 to 3 public courses that are kind of spread out. In V1, a golfer can only join one challenge at a time. So we're working with them to first identify some courses that feel right in terms of high volume public courses, facilities that golfers can join a challenge at. So we're in the phase of kind of identifying those facilities, and then in the next few months, as we finish development, we're going to create some more marketing material, some more communication material, so that both the facilities understand the experience and they can also communicate that out to golfers. And then we're looking to launch the pilot sometime at the end of January, and then test the experience for 2 months. So basically run challenges, both kind of test both what it's like to be more hands-off and just let it run, where the way a golfer would see this is they would either get a push notification saying that you can join a challenge, or if you post a score at a facility that is hosting a challenge, you would get a modal that asks you if you want to join this challenge. So we want to see how the discovery mechanism works. Is it easy to both get to golfers to join, and then throughout the course of the challenge, understand how their score posting behavior changes or doesn't change, and understand kind of how the leaderboard looks throughout time. So we'll take that, in that process, we'll collect a lot of feedback, both from AGA's facilities, and we also want direct golfer feedback as well. So we'll take that feedback in the spring, and then look to incorporate some of those improvements, and then look towards a nationwide feature launch in the summer of 2025. We don't know exactly the timing yet, but I think just given the pilot plan so far, that's kind of how we're planning this out. And I think we're excited for this. As David talked about from the NGF, I think a lot of golfers are competitive and kind of data driven, and so I think this is a way to kind of make it fun and compete in ways that don't force you to have to go to a golf course and meet people at the same place at the same time. All right, so we just talked about the current state and some of our recent and upcoming features. So we wanted to spend some time to think about and talk about our future vision for GiN. Kind of think about, share kind of our thought process as we try to evolve the platform and move forward. And I think first thing, we just wanted to put a stake in the ground to say, hey, our consumer here, all together here, we're serving golfers. We want to understand that this app and product is used by golfers, and we learned a lot about how kind of golfer behavior is changing and how the market's shifting. But we're really focused on golfer needs and their problems that we're trying to solve for. And as we think about kind of where GiN has come from and where we are today, right now, predominantly the app is mostly used for score posting, and it's great for that. You get a handicap index, and that updates, and it's highly reliable in that sense. And we want to continue to double down on that and be the best score posting and handicap index kind of management experience. But we want to build on that and evolve just from going from more posting to posting plus playing, and really think about how do we capture more of a golfer's kind of journey and their lifestyle in golf, and think about the things that they do. They go to a golf course, they need distances, they need course maps, they need stats, things like that. So we want to expand kind of what kind of needs we're serving from a golfer perspective, and be kind of a bigger part of their golf journey. So our vision from the GiN mobile or the golf product standpoint is to be the most trusted and essential service for all golfers with a handicap index. Obviously you need a handicap index to use GiN, but we want to really build on that trust aspect. I think the USGA name automatically does that a lot, but I think some of our features and functionality could improve and be more essential, again, to serve more of those needs outside of score posting and handicap index, but more on-course features and more features that you might use during the middle of the week versus kind of right around the days you play. And I think if you think about golf as a sport, first and foremost, people play golf because it's fun. It's a sport, it's a social thing, it's competitive. But at the same time, at least for me, golf is very hard. I think it's a very difficult sport. It's difficult to be good at, it's difficult to be consistent at. There's a lot of things you have to do to get to the course on time and meet the right people. So we understand that's one aspect of golf. Another aspect of golf is that it's very complex. There's a lot of parts about the game that are, new for a lot of, especially for new golfers, hard to understand. There's a lot of moving pieces. And then sometimes golf can be complicated. There's a lot of terminology that we use. Again, for the newer golfer that joins GiN or tries to learn golf, there's a lot of new terminology that we know exists and a lot of new features that we're providing that they may not know how to use or what it actually even means. So as we think about the golfer, and we want to be able to provide a consumer value proposition that really hits on some of those needs. So when we think about golf is hard, the first thing we want to do is motivate golfers to play more golf, with new ways to compete, and new ways to gamify the sport. We talked about challenges. That's a new way that we think that gives people kind of a virtual way to compete and make more use of their scores that they're using. But we want to expand on that, provide more gamification, different ways to compete, different ways to challenge yourself, different ways to connect with other golfers. I think, we have golfer lookup today where you can see other golfers with the handicap index, but we know people have their groups and we know people want to compete in different ways. So I think that's one aspect we want to keep hitting on in terms of motivating them and giving them more reason to get out there and play. The second thing is empower golfers with the right information and tools. Again, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of things you can track. There's a lot of tools that you can use to analyze your game and be both, do course management on course in terms of what club what distances you're hitting and kind of analyzing what kind of shot you're trying to hit. So I think there's a lot of options out there, but I think ultimately we want to provide the right information that obviously is rules compliant for us, but also is useful and simple and easy to use. So I think giving more tools for the golfer to even analyze their own stats. I think today we have a good stats experience where you see kind of your fairways, GIRs, and putts and hole-by-hole data, but I think there's opportunity for us to provide more tools for them to see how they're trending or see different views and filters so that they're really taking control of their own golf journey. And then the last piece we want to do for the golfer is educate them. Again, we mentioned there's a lot of golf terminology, there's handicapping terminology that I didn't know until I got a handicap index, and I'm still learning as I go. But I think as we want to kind of usher in a new set of golfers and grow, we want to make sure the app is very easy to use, and when you onboard, you kind of understand what features are available, what it actually means, what is the differential, and those things that I think we partner with the handicapping team to provide that language and make it very easy to use and understand. And as a result of all this, help golfers get more into the game, play more golf, and then ideally invite their friends over and grow golfers with the handicap index. From a business perspective, our strategic priorities are really around growth, engagement, and quality. I think you've heard a little bit about the joint strategy and the work we're doing at the USGA to grow golfers with the handicap index. So we want to continue to think about growth. Trials was a great example of that for this year. We'll continue to expand on that. But I think as we think about new features, we always think about, is this something that's marketable? Is this something that's new that might entice somebody to get a handicap index and use GiN? And I think, thanks to the marketing team, we've started to get more trials-related marketing out there, and I think we want to continue to expand on that to provide more, content and kind of inspiring things that make people want to get a handicap index and use GiN. And for the golfers who do have GiN and use handicap index, we want to keep them there. So I think engagement's huge. We want to make sure that they're coming back. They're using the app. I think challenges fits in this category of something that we hope that allows you to go into the app and just look at the leaderboard versus just thinking about score posting. And this really helps with our retention. We understand that we need to keep golfers coming back, so I think these engagement features will help us do that. And then the last is quality. I think just as any product, you want it to be a high performance and reliable product. Any software comes with bugs, and we do see that, but we mentioned we've created new pathways to both collect feedback, whether that's through App Store ratings or through some of the support tickets that we get some from you, some from users. And we have another product manager on our team, Morgan, who manages quality. So we're really doing a better job of kind of listing out all the issues, prioritizing them, understanding the severity of them, and ensuring that the GiN experience is highly functional, easy to use, and reliable. So I think, again, we partner with the development team to make sure our system performance is very good. So I think this is kind of table stakes for us in terms of just providing a high-quality product that, again, is very trusted and essential for golfers. And I'll pass on to Adam to talk about more golfer feedback.
So I think building on the strategic priorities there, this slide talks a little bit about how we want to get golfer feedback throughout the product design and development lifecycle. If you've worked in product development at all, this might look a little bit familiar, but really through all phases of the process, starting with discovery. So really before we even put pen to paper and design a new feature, we want to make sure we're solving the right problem, finding the right unmet customer needs. So we can do that through things like user interviews, focus groups, really looking at the competitive landscape. So there's now a whole host of consumer apps for golfers where they can submit scores, get a handicap, use GPS, track stats. So we want to look at that landscape and understand, what's working well, what's not. and that can help inform our decisions about our product. Then once we're in the design phase, everything from early stage wireframes to prototypes, putting those in front of golfers to test them out, get feedback, iterate and optimize, to just have confidence that we're building the right thing. And then once new features are launched, where we say validate and iterate there, we have a large user base where we can look at behavioral analytics to figure out how heavily are people using these features, where are they dropping off in key flows, other things that we should investigate, improving the user experience, and surveys at a larger scale to get at some of those things as well.
Awesome, and I think you said this, but I think part of this is just understanding before we start building something, kind of de-risking development work and time we spend on a new feature is doing the upfront work to ensure that, hey, is this a strategic opportunity? Can we prove that this is something that golfers would want and that it works for us? And then after we do that is understanding, hey, did this work? And what if it didn't? How do we kind of adjust this? So I think as we think about everything we just talked to from a strategy standpoint, this is just everything on one page. I like to kind of call this a strategy house. So we talked about our vision, our value proposition of wanting to motivate, empower, and educate golfers, focusing on our business priorities of growth, engagement, and quality. And then I think the last thing that Adam talked about is some of our key enablers. As we think about 2025, we want to be better at data analytics, be more data-driven, understand how kind of these things are working. And I think that's something that we want to provide back to all of you is when we launch a feature, we have some stats, but I think more kind of in-depth metrics and analysis will help us all understand kind of why this worked even, and give us a better understanding of kind of these new features and how they've worked. And then the user testing and research, again, is something that I think both of us have done a lot in previous roles. So we want to kind of root things in research and insight and then validate that after the fact as well. And I think overall, we believe that that's going to help us build a better product and deliver a better product to golfers. So with that, we'll take a little shift and talk a little bit about some of our future concepts. I didn't call these features on purpose because these are still kind of we're shaping them. I think we have some key zones here of things that we think are priorities for us. So I call these concepts. There's a lot to build on here, but we'll talk a little bit about each one by one. And I think we'd love to get your feedback and questions and comments and other thoughts on all of these. But you see some of them are kind of tagged by the value proposition, ensuring that we're actually sticking to the strategy and we're trying to deliver on those things. So the first thing is called GiN-sights. It's a little code name for insights that we deliver through the app. Tom, our leader, wants to trademark this, but essentially we talked about how you can track stats in the app. You get the fairways, GIRs, and putts, hole-by-hole data. We know that many other apps track other things like penalties and chip shots and things like that. But I think overall there's an opportunity here for us to provide more of a dashboard experience. I think right now it's pretty static. You kind of see what you get, but first to provide more tools so that users can kind of filter and add different data points that they want to analyze. I think another aspect here is seeing how things are trending. I think right now everything's kind of a snapshot in time, but obviously your golf game evolves through the years, and even within a given year. So I think that kind of is new ways to analyze the data. And secondly is also just a better data visualization. This is just kind of a placeholder to kind of articulate what we're talking about, but we want to study other data-driven apps. We're looking at other sports apps that have metrics, even financial apps that obviously have a lot of numbers. So we want to benchmark some of the best experiences out there to take golf data and make it very easily digestible, but again, kind of empower the golfer to look at what they want to look at and understand their game, understand kind of how they're trending and what they may need to work on. And again, that kind of goes back into trying to be an essential tool for them to kind of fulfill their golf life better. And I think the last point here is we do want to cater to the everyday golfer. Again, we're bringing in a lot of new golfers, focusing on public golfers. So this is not for the advanced data nerd. We want to take a very complex thing, but provide kind of simple data visualizations and tools that makes it easy to understand. And as we heard from the NGF data too, a lot of the golfers are data driven. So we want to provide that, but not kind of be too complex that it's that's kind of overload for the golfers.
So optimizing key flows, when you think about things like posting a score, setting up a round, using the handicap calculator, these are all kind of doing their job, working as expected, but we think there's some opportunity to optimize these. Really, if you think about a task that might take you 40 seconds to complete, if we can cut that down to 30 seconds, like that adds up over time to create a better user experience. So more to come here, but I think this is all about, especially thinking about growing the number of golfers with a handicap index. People who are using GiN for the first time, we want to make sure that it's as easy as possible to complete key flows like posting scores, setting up rounds. Yeah, just minimizing friction as far as that goes. Anything else you want to point out on that one? UI refresh. So you may notice that some of the recent launches are starting to use a little bit of a different visual design language than the rest of the GiN app. So when we tackle new features, it's just something that's top of mind to continue to use modernized, standardized components. I think we definitely want to keep both USGA and AGA branding top of mind as we do this. We know that there's the primary color customization, and that's a big part of AGA branding in the GiN app. Yeah, I think the share round summary and GiN rewind are both examples of how we just tweak some things in the layout and typography and spacing to give kind of a more modern feel. Try to keep up with, like we mentioned, the golf consumer app market that's out there that especially the younger tech savvy generation kind of has their choice of apps to use. User education. So again, when we think about brand new golfers, people getting a handicap index for the first time, we want to make key handicapping topics and concepts as clear as possible when people use the app. So even something as simple as a differential. If you're new to handicap index and you see that in a round summary for the first time, you might have questions about exactly what that is, what it means, how is that calculated. Handicap calculator, setting up a match and seeing things like course handicap, playing handicap, shots off. We have some definitions behind the tooltips there, but just as much as possible bringing that forward in the user experience and finding the right moments to educate people along these different journeys.
In terms of GPS enhancements, we mentioned there is the GPS free version that you get when you have a handicap index and you use GiN. That gives you a distance to the middle of the green, and you have an enhanced product that has more distances, and you get putt maps. And I think we're happy that we have this. I think Charlie, who was in this role before me, helped bring this to life. But largely, it's kind of stayed the same. But I think if you think about an essential tool for golfers, again, you need your distances. You kind of want to see what the course looks like, especially if you're playing a new course. So we're really taking some more effort to expand on this, provide better features, think about better visualization. This is like a mock-up of some of the new things we're thinking about. And some of them are minor. It's like this GPS icon was kind of a static, just blue button, and now we're updating that to look more like a pulsing GPS icon, which you see actually probably every day in either Google or Apple Maps, but it's just a familiar feature that kind of makes it more clear where you are. Even the lines right now are black, but we think with a white line, it just looks cleaner and looks has more contrast against the green background, as well as the yardage numbers were colored red and blue, and I think we want to be very strategic around color usage as well. And I think before it's like there's red and blue, but we don't actually know why it's red and blue. So I think we want to have reasons for everything that we design. And I think one thing that we think is a key unlock is just providing a distance from the tee box. I think that's something that some competitor apps have, and there is an accuracy and accuracy element to that, but we're not telling you that this is exactly your tee shot number, but it's just the distance that you are from the tee. And I think for one, we know that golfers want to show off their best shots. If you have a huge drive, you want to just know what that is. But I think the other aspect that honestly I need the most is when I hit it out and to the right, I need to know where I'm looking for the ball. So I think that also kind of is somewhat a subtle feature, but we hope that actually improves your golf experience and saves you some time finding a ball or having to use another ball. So I think those are some little things we're thinking about, as well as again looking at overall look and feel design. I think we have a partner here that we're leveraging, and I think another aspect here is when we talk to a lot of users, GiN users, many don't know that we have GPS in the app. So I think the other aspect is just the discoverability aspect of that, knowing that this tool is there, being forward with that, and providing it at the right time so that golfers can understand that they have this option. And then again, as a subscription product, we want to keep adding new features and making it more useful. So we're going to continue to expand here. And then we have the future of challenges. We talked about kind of V1 is a net stroke play experience where it's an 18. You have to play on an 18-hole course, and you need 3 rounds to qualify for the leaderboard. We put this slide together previously to think about, hey, challenges right now as we think about V1 is more just, again, this net score challenge, but there's so many things that you can gamify within the sport of golf. And so I think the first logical next step after 18-hole challenges is 9-hole challenges. We want to promote some of the shorter courses and 9-hole courses now that we've scaled those differentials. But we think about some other features, and these are all kind of ideas we put out there. We'd love to kind of hear more ideas as to what you think might be fun and engaging for golfers. But the first thing is going from a single course challenge to a multi-course challenge, and that is both being able to participate in multiple single course challenges, but potentially even grouping courses into a challenge where you can play at multiple places, and that kind of counts towards a full leaderboard. And then the second is stats-based challenges. As we take in more hole-by-hole data and stats data, we talked about visualizing that better within kind of the stats experience. But there could be ways that we gamify that as well, to kind of take the score out of it and celebrate how many birdies you had, maybe a par streak, most GIRs. You can take that data and then make it a competitive set so that you can compete with golfers of all types and skill levels as well. And then there's participation-based challenges as well. I think not everyone's competitive. Some people just want to go out there and have fun. So we think about a rounds played challenge, just to think about how many rounds can you accumulate over the course of a challenge or a season or a year. So we think that's a more approachable thing to compete on. And then there's courses played challenge as well. I think we like to call this kind of like a passport-like feature where you can kind of collect stamps for the amount of courses you played at, and I think that ideally provides something memorable for yourself to track, but again, it kind of motivates you to get out there, maybe try a new course, or maybe take that golf trip and go somewhere and collect those stamps and kind of show them off and compete with your friends on. The next idea is group challenges. People like to play with their friends, but you get competitive with other groups as well. So this is the idea that you can team up with your friends and kind of create a team, and then challenge other groups. So it's kind of a group-to-group standpoint. Kind of team match play events in the professional ranks are very popular and very engaging. So this is kind of a way for us to do that within the kind of the app experience and make it more social. We have to bring in your friends and think about competing against others. And then the last thing is really what we think is the holy grail of kind of challenges is user-generated challenges. I think so far a lot of this is challenges that we kind of set up within the app, or we work with you as administrators to set the challenges up. I think at the end of the day, if a golfer can go into GiN and set up a challenge in any of these types of parameters and preferences and set it up on their own, invite their friends and run it on their own, it kind of gives them that autonomy and empowerment to create a new feature and have fun, and ideally that brings in more golfers. And I think a lot of this, underlying everything here, is trying to focus on things that make both the handicap index more approachable and usable for people, as well as the other app features like stats and GPS. So here, this is just kind of the future ideas for challenges that we're thinking about. But again, we wanted to open it up to other ideas or feedback or questions relating to kind of everything we just talked about. Any questions or?
GPS watch support for Android?
Good question. The question was about GPS watch support for Android. It's a tricky one, I think, because our Android user base is so much smaller. That's for one. And then Android Wear, all the devices are made by a different manufacturer. So it's a little bit more challenging for us, I think, as we think about our roadmap and prioritization. I think it's something that we do hear a lot. But it's tricky for us to prioritize that given the small user base and the complexity of that work. I think as we improve on other GPS features for Apple Watch, if there's a better way that Android Wear as a platform makes it simpler for us, I think we want to incorporate that. But I think it's also kind of as we partner with and grow with our development team, potentially if we scale up with more resources, I think that's something it's on our list, so we're tracking it.
How accurate is the GPS on the yardage-wise?
It's about 4 to 5 yards, I believe. Is that right, Charlie?
I think it's closer, yeah.
Yeah, I think 3 to 4 yards is, I think, the standard GPS accuracy standpoint. So I think it works. It's obviously not going to be as accurate as a rangefinder, right. But kind of for general uses and using a phone, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
I was just wondering, is there anything coming that would help us as an AGA communicate with our members better? Because a lot of the things you're showing I think are great for the user individually, but they don't really help us communicate with them through the app.
Yeah.
So like one thing that we've asked for a couple of times is just a simple link that we could allow us to link out to something, something like that. Want to see if that's anything possibility.
Yeah, I think there's opportunity there both within golfer products and potentially admin portal as a way to connect with golfers. I think there's a section in the more menu for the AGA. There's certain links there. I think.
Yeah, but obviously the more menu is one of the least things people go to.
Right.
They focus on that home page.
For sure.
And having something there, like not on top, but just underneath the post and score area, where saying here's a link out to something your AGA is doing.
Yep.
Something that we can control.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely opportunity there for more AGA. I think right now there's like just ads that are placed there, but I think there's an opportunity there. We've thought about ideas like potentially moving towards a feed, and that could be something that you guys can post content accordingly. I think that's something that again is a complex and pretty big shift, but I think we've heard this type of feedback, and I think we're incorporating how do we actually help AGAs deliver communication and content. So I think it's noted. I think we're considering that. It's not quite, we don't have anything concrete in that realm yet, but I think we'd love to kind of continue to hear more of those ideas and we can kind of scope something out from there. And I think the other thing just wanted to address, I think, is we do realize that I think now that with GiN trials, you can download GiN and start a trial. We haven't done much marketing in the past, and when we come up with a feature, we kind of share some imagery and some information on protocols, but I think we do feel an opportunity to share more, just shareable assets in general, so that when we launch a feature, here's imagery, here's content and copy that you all can leverage and send out in your communication channels, as I think a way for us to kind of all promote this product together. So I think that's something kind of on our roadmap as well in terms of, again, providing just more assets as we launch new features. There's a question over there?
I think, yeah, mine was more like for marketing purposes, refer a friend type of feature where they get points. I don't know if there'd be a way to track if that friend actually signs up, but you mentioned with the challenge, you can start your own challenge, inviting people who don't have a GiN number, if there'd be a way to encourage them to sign up.
For sure. I think that we love that idea. I think that idea it kind of fits squarely in growth and growing golfers in the handicap index. And I think referrals always is a strong way to bring in new users. And I think there are ways that we could be able to track that. Again, it's not something that is on our roadmap per se, but I think as we think about growth, thinking about better ways that you can invite other people. I think right now our first phase with share on summary and some of the shareability of GiN Rewind and challenges. First, can we actually create assets and images that you can share outward to your social media? I think the next phase after that is sharing more actual invitation links and things like that to join in. And I think the point system is something we love that idea as well. I think gamification of anything is helpful. So we'll take that feedback and think about that more.
Say from a data analytics standpoint, is there any thought? I saw 27% hole by hole. Is there any thought of potentially requiring that in the future on the roadmap to maybe have trickle-down effects to assist with
Steve?
in the future?
We're discussing with AGAs and maybe give like a 2-year plan. That's a big change, but we would like to change it. We think it can help with portrait automation and other things that we're talking about, but it's great.
I think separately from like compliance perspective, some of the new features we're thinking about with share on summary and GiN sites, we want to give users an idea of like how useful the data can be if you do enter hole by hole stats. So didn't make it into GiN Rewind this year, but in those types of features, I think there's an opportunity for like the recap to show, hey, here's like a generic image of what you would have seen if you track hole by hole stats, and it's like a kind of an interesting visualization that encourages people to do more of it.
Yeah, I think to build on that, I think one of the last slides we cut from GiN Rewind was a stats-based slide around like most birdies or how many birdies you've hit or things like that. But we realized that only a subset of people would see that. We had to make a decision of the people that do have that data would love it, but the vast majority of people would not see it. So I think there's an opportunity, potentially even earlier in the year as posting season starts, is to just preview that. It's like, hey, you should track hole by hole and add stats this year because you can get X, Y, and Z features down the road. So I think we're trying to just create that kind of information loop and inform them what that could do. So outside of the requirements, I think we want to continue promoting that input. And I think the other aspect to that is making input easier. I think there's elements in our user experience when you enter a hole by hole or a stats, both on your phone and on your watch. It feels like a few taps, but when you're on a golf course and you're going from hole by hole, you just hit a triple, like it's frustrating. You want to make that as simple as possible. So I think making input easier also promotes that kind of behavior. So those are kind of the ways that we're thinking about kind of shifting that posting mix. Yep.
You can only share like your round, right? You can't share your match, or like my group uses a lot of the match play stuff, but I have a lot of thoughts there. You know, maybe you should play for a few units just for fun. You know, maybe have a place for a press. But I think it would just be something that people would utilize more often. It's great for the net component to be able to have your look them up, put it in. You know how many shots everyone's hitting. You can play whatever tees you want. But to share sort of a match summary would be kind of a fun thing to share online as well.
Absolutely. I was telling Adam that exact thing today after kind of being reminded of kind of the value of the handicap index in competition. And I think right now, to that point, you set up a match and you don't get a kind of fulfilling experience after the fact, and that match also doesn't go anywhere in your history. So I think there's elements of tracking those social rounds. And I think just one other element is, you know, if you're playing with Charlie over the years, can I look at every match that I play with Charlie? And that's just a fun feature that I think, you know, keeps people connected. It brings that kind of bond into the app. And I think another element, just a thought that came up earlier today, was the faster we can get somebody to use a net match play feature with someone else using your handicap index. You know, we know in person net match play is very fun, and we know that our app delivers those features. But again, a lot of people don't know what net match play is, how do you use it, how do you dock your scorecard. So that kind of goes into a lot of the elements we talked about of both educating the user as to what that is, how do you do it, and then providing kind of the full feedback loop of, okay, now here's your match, here's a very fun way to look at it and store that history, and then again, go back and ideally go share that or get in Charlie's ear about how much we can buy it.
I like that one of the issues that we had, there was a lot of feedback we got. People were using the app to figure out the stroke for a match.
Yep.
But with the new four-ball match play, people were saying, well, why is the strokes on golf course different, or why are the strokes here different?
Yep.
And I don't know if it's more like a recommendation or something. Like, is there a way you think you guys would be able to have a denotation of like, this is a four-ball match play so that it'll adjust appropriately?
Yep.
Because there was something that I would say came up with it around that.
Yep. If you didn't, the question was about four-ball match play and how shots off is calculated a little bit differently. We actually have a solution. It's in our backlog. We're working on it, but I think the main thing is just even in handicap calculator, providing a toggle to say whether you're playing stroke play or match play, and then if there's 4 players, it will automatically use the different calculation or the process of calculating shots off. So that's something that we have a plan for. I think just with our roadmap, it's in the works. And then again, I think when you're in setting up a match with net match play, it does leverage that calculation, but it's the kind of the difference between handicap calculators. So we're on it.
The pub challenges, would that be something that eventually could be brought to like an association-wide? Maybe that was covered in the slideshow that I listed, but for an AGA to have a stats-based challenge or something with an entire membership, maybe obviously down the road from when it's implemented at the club level, but it sounded like club challenges would still be the AGA's responsibility to sort of initiate, or the club initiates it, and then say, okay, now it's set up in there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we want to gauge from the pilot is that demand for kind of an AGA-wide challenge setup. So I think right now, yes, AGA would have to set up one challenge at a time, but I think that is something that we're considering early. Is there just a way to set up a challenge at every course? I think that makes it simpler. I think as we think about that, we want to see kind of how V1 goes, but I think that's clearly something that we would want. And I think as we add different types of challenges, ideally this becomes a tool for all of you to set up. You can start customizing it based on your likes as well. So I think again, those things we want to keep hearing and incorporate as we develop the future challenges.
Has there been any thought about integrating with other apps, potentially, like the fitness app on iOS or things like that?
Yes, I love that. I think we talked about, we heard today about golf and wellness and that kind of trend. I think some other apps do integrate with HealthKit and kind of provide like steps data and things like that. I think as we think about a potential to position golf as a wellness activity, I think that's kind of low-hanging fruit in my mind. It's just steps is one thing, or just even some language could be there. Hey, congrats on getting out in the sun. It's a very low-level thing to do, but it makes people feel like they've actually done something healthy. So I think that's something that we want to incorporate in. We've thought about even other kind of data points or other sensing data that could be incorporated. But again, we want to overcomplicate the experience. But I think things like steps or other things, we'd love to hear more ideas on that. But that's something that I'm very passionate about and would love to do. So hopefully, I think towards the second half of next year, we can get to that and add that to the roadmap.
Is there a way for AGAs to know how many of our members are using the share round summary?
There isn't a AGA level report yet. Quite frankly, for us too, we kind of see it at a total level. We can break it down by just general region. But I think I'll say that as an overall opportunity as we talk about data and analytics. Some things we're doing now is kind of assessing our analytics tools and things like that. Quite frankly, we don't know a lot about like the exact usage of where people are dropping off or where features are being used. So I think we're kind of assessing our overall analytics toolkit. And I think with that would be kind of more granular insights back for all of you as well. So we're looking to improve that this year.
Yeah, or this put a hashtag or something if they are sharing it through social media. Yeah. Maybe they're just generating something. So.
Anything else? Any questions? Other ideas? Cool. Well, we're around. Again, we have a GiN Rewind prototype. If you want to grab it, one of us can always show you that. And any other feedback is always welcome. And thanks to all of you for being partners in this. And yeah, we're excited to grow more.